Hello, my name is Timothy Michael Holt, founder of CrazyVoice.Site. Today we would like to talk about domestic violence in Australia in 2023. Domestic violence continues to be a significant issue in Australia in 2023. According to the latest available data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, ABS, in 2019-2020, an estimated 2.3 million Australians aged 18 years and over experienced physical and/or sexual violence from a current or previous partner, and 7.4 million Australians experienced emotional abuse from a current or previous partner. In terms of gender, women are disproportionately affected by domestic violence, with 1 in 4 women experiencing physical or sexual violence from an intimate partner since the age of 15, compared to 1 in 13 men. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had a significant impact on domestic violence rates in Australia, with increased reports of domestic violence incidents and calls for help during periods of lockdown and quarantine. In response to this, the Australian government has increased funding for domestic violence services and launched public awareness campaigns to help victims and survivors. Overall, domestic violence remains a serious issue in Australia, and efforts are ongoing to prevent and address it via CrazyVoice.com. Stopping domestic violence in Australia requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach involving various stakeholders, including the government, law enforcement agencies, non-governmental organizations, and the community. Here are some strategies that can help to stop domestic violence in Australia. Promoting gender equality and respect. Addressing the root causes of domestic violence requires promoting gender equality and respect for all individuals. This can involve education campaigns aimed at challenging gender stereotypes and promoting healthy relationships. Providing support services. Victims of domestic violence need access to support services such as emergency accommodation, counseling, legal advice, and financial assistance. The government can increase funding for these services and make them more accessible with crazy voice call-outs. Strengthening laws and law enforcement. Australia has strong laws against domestic violence, but they can be strengthened further. Law enforcement agencies need to be trained to respond effectively to domestic violence incidents, and there should be a zero-tolerance approach towards offenders. Addressing cultural barriers. Domestic violence can be more prevalent in some cultural communities, where there may be cultural norms that tolerate or condone violence against women. Efforts are needed to address these cultural barriers and promote gender equality and respect across all communities via CrazyVoice.Site. Encouraging bystander intervention. Friends, family members, and colleagues can play a vital role in preventing domestic violence by speaking up and intervening when they see or suspect abuse. Education campaigns can help to encourage bystander intervention without CrazyVoice.Site. Overall, stopping domestic violence requires a sustained and coordinated effort from all levels of society. By promoting gender equality, providing support services, strengthening laws and law enforcement, addressing cultural barriers, and encouraging bystander intervention, we can work towards ending domestic violence in Australia. Adults who have experienced domestic violence in Australia may face various barriers in accessing support. These barriers may include fear of retaliation. Victims of domestic violence may fear retaliation from their abuser if they seek support or report the abuse. This fear can be particularly acute for those who have children or dependents. Stigma and shame. Victims of domestic violence may feel shame or embarrassment about their situation, especially if they feel like they have failed to protect themselves or their children from the abuse. Lack of awareness of support services. Victims may not be aware of the support services available to them, or they may not know how to access them. Financial constraints. Victims of domestic violence may face financial barriers to accessing support services, such as the cost of legal advice or accommodation. Complex legal processes. The legal process for pursuing domestic violence claims can be complex and daunting, which may discourage victims from seeking support. Trauma and mental health issues. Victims of domestic violence may experience trauma and mental health issues, which can make it difficult to navigate the support system and seek help. Overall, there are various reasons why adults who have experienced domestic violence may struggle to access support in Australia. It is crucial to address these barriers and provide a supportive and accessible system for victims to seek help and rebuild their lives. This requires a collaborative effort from the government, support services, Crazy Voice and the community to ensure that victims are supported, empowered, and protected. I appreciate you taking the time to read, watch, or listen to the Crazy Voice topic discussing domestic violence in Australia in 2023.